Okay, now, let's talk about how to control a man once we get him into a front headlock position. The thing you need to know about this front headlock is that it's a very, very effective way to control a man and score points on a takedown. Okay. To control this man in a front headlock position, there's a number of ways you can control your grip. Okay, let's talk about some of the things some of the ways that you can control him. One way that you can control him is by having palm up, palm down, with what we call a wrestler's grip, like this. From this position here, you're going to squeeze his arm into the side of his head and squeeze your elbows together so that you can control his head and this arm. Now, the things that you have to do when you get into this front headlock position, okay, we take this grip, is make sure that your elbow is above his head. As we squeeze his arm into the side of his head like such, you want to make sure that your elbow is above his head. We'll show you what we're talking about on the other side. Okay? Elbow above his head. Here's one of the first counters that the defensive man will try when you go into your front headlock. Okay, I'll take my front headlock position. Now watch, if my elbow is below his head, he'll come up and drag right out into a drag. If your elbow is above his head, he's going to have a very difficult time trying to drag out. He can't get to it. Okay? And you can get a really tight grip on his head if that elbow is above his head. What you're doing is squeezing the elbow in and the arm together, his head into his arm, like such. Okay, again, elbow above his head. That's very important. Now, as much as possible, when you take your elbow above his head, you still need to shift your weight towards the center of his body, because you want to put pressure on his head and be in a position so that you can not only take his head down, but take his head forward. A lot of wrestlers, when they get into a front headlock position, they just rest up on his back like such. Put pressure on this man and put him in a position so that you can have your easiest way to score points. Not only do you put pressure down, but you start to move him forward as you squeeze the head into the arm. Okay, let's get back to the grips. Again, the first grip, palm up, palm down. From here, you're going to squeeze both elbows together. Like I said, you want to shift your weight back to the center as much as possible, because you can lean too far over on this side and then you might lose him. So shift your weight back towards the center of his body. You can still have your elbow high in this position. Okay, now, the other thing you need to do to control this position is go up on your toes. Okay, so from this position here, when you go up on your toes, now this man's supporting all of my weight. Okay, he's supporting all of my weight. As I said before, if you grip him and put the weight not only down, but towards the front of his head, he will probably collapse right down to the mat. So from this position right here, you're up on your toes, and you start moving him this way. Now you're in a great position to score points. From this position, all I need to do is step up, block this arm, and I can move right behind. Okay, that's one grip. The next way you can grip him is by doing this. Before we locked like this, palm up, palm down. This time we're going to take him like this. This is also a very, very tight grip. We're doing the same things. We're taking a grip like this. We're going to squeeze the elbows together. Try to keep your elbow above his head, if at all possible. It may be somewhere alongside his ear. That's okay too. The key point here is that you don't want to be in a position so that this man could drag out. So, in this situation, palm up, palm down, and you're taking a grip like such. This is a very, very tight grip. Again, you're up on your toes, like such. The next grip I'm going to show, I feel, is one of the better grips. Very basic grip. What we're doing is going from here to the wrist. I find that I have more control this way and can do more changes to score than I can with the other two grips. The other two grips are very good. However, for me, this is the best way to grip it. Now from here, what I do is lock across, and you control your own wrist, like such. You get your elbow high, squeeze his arm into the side of his head, like that. Up on your toes, like that. All of these grips are good. Main thing you want to do is focus in on the things that will allow you to score points and keep him from defending your front headlock. Elbow above his head. Weight down and pressure forward, like such. Squeeze his arm into the side of his head. You can get an awful lot of pressure once you start squeezing his arm into the side of his head. The other way that you can control this man from a front headlock position is by controlling his chin. Control his chin here, and you control his elbow, like this. Control his chin, and you control his elbow. Your weight is still at the base of his neck. You can still have this man supporting all of your weight. You can do different techniques when you control this man's chin. You can do the same techniques when you control this man's chin. It's just a different way of controlling the front headlock position. Again, control his chin and control his elbow. Let me show you one technique that's very effective from this position. Weight at the base of his skull, elbow high. Now from here, all we're going to do is lift this up this way and back him up in a circle this way so that we collapse his body down to the mat. You notice I pull this elbow up like such, put all the weight in the area where he doesn't have any support, and his body collapsed right down to the mat during the time that I was controlling his chin with the other hand. Now once he's down to the mat, now it's just a matter of stepping over this arm and walking behind.